Hi everyone, welcome back to my little homestead, and I just want to say thank you for all the lovely comments on the new videos I put up. That was really encouraging. And on a probably less encouraging note, I got quite a few subscribers decided they didn't want to follow me anymore. But I decided not to get discouraged about that, and everybody has free choice and they just obviously don't like my content. But I thought I'm not going to be bothered by that. I'll just continue to put on videos. I know even my daughter watches these videos and my grandchildren, and they enjoy them and they think it's quite funny seeing Nanny on a video. So I'm just going to keep on sharing things, recipes that I make, that I have tried them. I make them all the time. They're tested. Sometimes we see things on platforms or social, on places like social media or Pinterest, and we think, oh, that looks good, I'll give that a try, and then invariably our result doesn't look anything like the Pinterest picture. But I know with these recipes that I'm sharing here at Little Homestead, I've been making them, a lot of them, for many years. Some of them are new, but normally I try things before I'll post the video, but occasionally I think with the rhubarb tart I was just winging it and making it as I went, but it still turned out good. And that was a recipe from my mother-in-law, so I knew she wouldn't have passed it on if she didn't think it was a good recipe. So anyway, after all of that big ramble, what I wanted to say was I'm going to share a recipe today for what I would call the best ever shortbread. Normally I only ever have made shortbread at Christmas time because it's just something traditional that we like to eat and something I especially love to eat. And over the years I've made so many different shortbread recipes. I think the first one I ever tried had rice flour in it. I didn't like the texture at all. It's sort of a little bit gritty. And then some years I would normally make a recipe that had just flour and no corn flour and caster sugar. But I've stumbled upon this wonderful recipe. I've made it now at least 3 times. I'm actually so hooked on it that I make it constantly and I never want it to not be in my tins, and I have one for lunch almost every day, and sometimes in the evening too if I'm feeling naughty. So I just thought there'd be somebody out there like me who has been in search of the best ever shortbread recipe for years. So I can tell you can't go wrong with this. I normally double it just because I always want to have a supply, and I put it in the freezer, and then when I want some more cookies I just bring out a small bag of them. They defrost and taste just like the fresh ones. So this is a wonderful recipe, well worth sharing. So I'll see you in a minute when I get the ingredients together. Now before I get on to the shortbread, I know I've talked about it before that I've got this tiny wee kitchen. Well, this is my kitchen. This is my fridge, and there's a cupboard there, cupboards down here. Don't look at all my mess. I've got about 100 projects on the go, and that is my whole tiny wee kitchen. But anyway, I've got a new little area. So I used to have a big bookcase here, and it was awful really because it just would gather dust and I was constantly having to clean it. And then I saw this little sideboard for sale, and I thought, oh, that would look really nice painted. It only cost $80. And inside it's got a wee lock, which I think is quite cute. I just keep my plates, and on the other side probably more stuff, more plates, bowls, dishes, and I've got vitamins down the bottom, and I keep my biscuit tins in there just to keep them cool. And it's great because it's got this wee lock to keep the grandchildren from getting into those little dishes like they used to do when I had the shelf. And this part here has also provided a little bit more workspace for me. So today I'm going to set the camera up just over here so you'll be able to see what I'm doing with my lovely new KitchenAid that my husband got me for Christmas. So let's get on with this shortbread. Okay, so I'm back again. I've just put a little bowl here on the scale, and I'm just going to weigh out the butter. So all you actually need for this ingredient, I've just got my little recipe here, is butter, icing sugar, vanilla essence, salt and plain flour. So that's another thing I like about it, that most people have these ingredients on hand, or if you don't, it's not going to break the bank to have to go and buy them. So I'm going to double it, so that's why my batch is going to look a little bit bigger. So let's just get on with weighing the ingredients. So because my butter's a little bit hard, I've just got it out of the fridge, I'm just going to cut it into cubes. I'll move that around a bit so you can see me, and then I'm just going to soften it in the microwave. Probably normally I do 10-second bursts, just because you don't want to have it overly soft, but you also don't want it to be too hard. We've got a beautiful sunny day here today, and the weather forecast said it was going to rain, so that's really nice. And it's just always, I think, makes the day seem brighter and lovelier when the sun's shining outside. So we are in the last part of summer, or the last month, so I have to make the most of these sunny days, and even though we will still get some in autumn, it's just nice to make the most of it. Okay, so I'm just going to soften that. Okay, so into my bowl I'm going to put the butter, which is lovely and soft now, just perfect. And then I'm going to add in, so that was 140 grams of butter, and this is, but I'm doubling it, so mine was 280, and this is 1 cup of icing sugar, but normally it would be half a cup. Alright, and then I'm just going to add in my vanilla essence. That'll do. It's meant to be half a teaspoon, but I'll add a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm just going to whiz this up till it's lovely and creamy. Oopsie, haven't got that on the clipper. Just loving this new mixer. It's so great. It does a fantastic job. The problem I had with my last mixer was that it was a sunbeam variety. It's just a variety that we have here in New Zealand, and the beaters didn't get to the very edges of the bowl, so I always had to scrape around the sides, keep stopping it all the time, and it just didn't do such a good job. So now I've decided that that mixer can live in the soak room, and I'll use it for projects in there. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying this new mixer. And we'll just keep on beating this until it's lovely and soft and creamy. So I'll just wipe down these beaters. And the wonderful thing about using icing sugar, or powdered sugar I think you call it in other countries, is that it just is such a lovely soft, the shortbread has such a beautiful soft texture, and there's no sort of grittiness, and it also doesn't take very long to cream. So I'm going to just keep whizzing it up until it gets that lovely pale creamy colour, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, so it should all look like that, all lovely and pale and creamy. Now, so into this bowl I'm just going to add this mixture here, and I've got my flour and the salt, and I took out 1 tablespoon, rounded tablespoon of flour, and substituted that for cornflour, just to give it an even silkier texture. I'm just going to plop all of that in there, and pop it back in. And of course you just want to put your mixer onto a very low speed, just to start to incorporate it without having flour go everywhere. So then I just like to scrape the sides down. It's actually really hot in here, so I might just go and put my aircon on. Okay, so once it's all scraped down, the flour's all scraped down, just pop it back down again, and you only need it on low just to get everything all combined. So I just keep doing this just for I don't know, just for a few minutes, and already I can just see it all start to pull together. So then I'm just going to take the bowl off, and then I just will start to work it with my hands. So I'm just going to work it by hand now, just to make sure it's all sort of forming into a good ball, and any of that flour that was right at the bottom will be completely mixed in. And then I scoop out about half of it, since I've doubled it, and then I'm just going to start rolling it out. But before I do that, I'll just put a little bit of flour down on my board. So I've just got a piece of one of those silicone rolling mats here, and I like using this because it just makes cleanup really easy. And I use this little wee fluted sort of round cutter that I've had for many years. I don't even know where I got that from. Yeah, so I'm going to get about half of that dough out, and then I'll just leave the rest of it over to the side for now. So then just sort of start to form it into a ball shape, and then we're just going to roll it out. Try not to sort of touch it too much, because your hands will just warm it up. You can even sort of just put a little wee bit of flour on your rolling pin. I think nothing yummier than getting shortbread as a little wee gift, even if it's just a little thank you present or something. I didn't do it this year, but normally at Christmas I make little wee hampers and give them to people. Especially I used to give them to older people in our church, especially older gentlemen in the church who might not have a wife anymore, and just on their own. I know they just appreciated it so much to get that home baking. And I think if you can bring a little bit of joy into somebody's life, then why not? Alright, so now I'm just going to start to cut out shapes. Now I don't like my shortbread to be too thin, so I'm probably cutting this at about, it's not 1/4 of an inch, and it's not 1/2 an inch, just a little bit less than that. So then I'll just start cutting out shapes. So you can of course cut it any way you want. Some people just press it into a tin and cut it into squares, but I just love the way these round ones come out. So that's just what I've been doing lately. It's just cutting them out like this, and then you can press all the remaining scraps together and just make some more shortbread. We'll get another one over there, and no, it won't keep one. Oh yep, maybe another one there. Alright, so and then I just prick them before I get my spatula under here. I prick them like this, and then I get my tray here, and I just lift them out like that and pop it onto the tray. And they always swell up a little bit more and also expand. So it turns out to be a really good size piece of shortbread. Oh, look at that deliciousness. So even though I love fancy baking, like I love fudgy, caramelly, chocolatey baking and all sorts of baking really, but there's something about just a plain piece of shortbread that I also really, really love. And I think having a really good shortbread recipe in your repertoire was something you can easily whip up quite easily to give as a little gift or to take some of it to whatever you might need to take a plate to. I don't know, anybody that's going to go past shortbread. And I think sometimes simple recipes are overlooked. People think they need to make something super fancy and decadent, but I think often just these simple recipes are very popular. Yeah, I'm just going to roll out this other little bit. So then when I'm doing the second bit, I try to keep it like the shape of the round circle, and then I just keep rolling it out into like a rectangle to get it to that same thickness again. I think last time I made some quite fat ones, and oh, they were so good. We'll just cut out those ones. Probably get another, no, I thought I was going to get 3. I'll do the pricking again. I've collected quite a lot of cookie cutters over the years, and even when I was in America years and years ago, I bought some really neat little cookie cutters. I should get them down and show you. Get my jar down. So I've got one that looks like a little cat, if you can see the cat in there, and then a lovely looking little star, and there's a butterfly, and then I've got one right down the bottom. It's in the shape of an apple. So it's just a little something that I like collecting, as different sorts of cookie cutters. So when I start to get down to just a few bits left, I just press them into the tin like that, so that I can get the round shape, and then press it down around the sides and prick it and pop it on the tray. And I might have enough here to do one more, and then I'll just finish off with that last remaining bit. So with the recipe, if you cut them about the size that I have, I've got 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, you'll get a dozen. So it doesn't make it a huge batch. So of course if you double it, then you're going to get 2 dozen, which is really nice because it just saves time, I think, if you do double things, which is what I do quite a lot. Oh, it's starting to get a bit soft now. It gets sort of a bit trickier to work with. Let's pop them on the tray, and let's put that into the oven. I'm baking that in the oven at 170 degrees Celsius for 10 to 13 minutes. So here I have the first tray out of the oven. Don't they look wonderful? So I'm just going to let them cool on the tray, and then I'll take some pictures to show you at the end. But thank you so much for coming along to watch me make this shortbread. I hope you'll give this recipe a try. Bye for now.